Hey friends, today we're going to be looking at the new Nostalgia collection from Olive Ave Polish, a super cute Lisa Frank-esque palette inspired by the 90s, so let's get into it. The first shade we're starting with is Ironic, which is described as a medium muted turquoise green cream. This one is inspired by the iconic Alanis Morissette song Ironic, more specifically her teal gloves in the music video. Obviously, this song is an absolute banger, and it's unfortunate I can't play it in the background for you, so I hope you go listen to it after this video. But onto the polish itself, it has a really nice creamy formula with really easy application, which I find is pretty common among Olive Ave polishes. This one was a solid 2-coater for me and such a gorgeous color, but I do want to note that I saw Walker say you might get some staining with this color, so it would be a good idea to just double up on base coat. But yeah, this one is super pretty. Next up is LA Looks, described as a deep sky blue cream. This shade was inspired by the tubs of LA Looks gel that Walker purchased as a preteen to try and get the perfect slicked back pony hairstyle. As you can see, this one has a flawless formula. It's almost even a 1-coater. There are a few patchy spots, so I still did 2 to show you how that looks, but if your nails are shorter, I honestly think that you can get away with just 1 coat. You know I love a good sky blue in the summer, and while this one might seem a little bit dark, it looks so bright and beautiful in the sun. I think it's absolutely perfect. Next we have Easy, which is described as a medium purple cream with cool undertones. This one is hilariously inspired by the purple-colored ketchup from the early 2000s. Well, maybe you don't find that hilarious and find it kind of gross, so let's not think about that for too long and instead focus on how beautiful this shade of purple is. This one has a slightly crellyish formula, but it was still perfectly opaque in 2 coats. And I think I said it in my summer favorites video that I tend to prefer blue-leaning purples, but I honestly don't have a lot of medium tone purples like this one, so this feels super unique to my collection. It also changes so much depending on the lighting that you're in. I've seen photos where it looks super dusty and others where it's more vibrant, so it's kind of a chameleon, but I think it's really beautiful. Up next is Slater, which is a vivid cerise pink cream with warm undertones. This shade was inspired by AC Slater from Saved by the Bell, which, if I can be honest, I have never watched before, but I can definitely see the nod to 90s fashion with this shade. I think this one is another solid formula with really even application, but it's still a little sheer on just 1 coat. It's not quite as opaque where I would call it a 1-coater. You'll definitely need 2, but that's no big deal since this shade is just a dream to apply. You already know I have nothing bad to say about a shade like this one, and it is easily one of my favorites. Next up we have Lisa, which, shocker, is my favorite from the collection. This one is obviously inspired by Lisa Frank, which is just about as nostalgic as you can get. The formula on this shade was so insanely opaque. I was expecting it to be slightly crellyish to let the shimmers shine through, so I was really happy that they didn't get lost in the base color. You only need 2 coats to get this one opaque, and yeah, I just cannot recommend this one enough. It is so stunning and beautiful and absolutely perfect for summer. And lastly, we have Bondi Blue, which is a teal linear holographic polish. The inspiration behind this one is the original Apple iMac color released in 1998. I remember my school's computer lab having these and just wanting one for myself so bad, especially when the pink one came out. And while I do love the inspiration behind this, I kind of wish it was more of a true jelly finish as opposed to a buildable crelly, just to be a little bit more true to that translucent technology aesthetic, which I honestly really love. And my only other gripe with this one is that it's described as holographic, but it is hardly noticeable in indirect lighting like you see here. And from what I've seen, it's really subtle even in sunlight, but it's still a super pretty shade. Now onto comparisons. I'm starting with Ironic and comparing it to Palm Trees, which is also by Olive Ave from a few summers ago, and OPI's My Dogsled is a Hybrid, which if anything is more similar to Palm Trees. So you'll see on my nail that Ironic is just a little bit darker and more dusty, so it's pretty unique if you have either of the other two greens. Next, for LA looks, I'm going to be comparing it to Sure Feels Good from China Glaze a few summers ago. These were super, super close, not quite 100% dupes, but good enough, with LA looks having the more opaque, smoother formula. So I would recommend that one if you don't already have this China Glaze. Next, for easy, I'll be comparing it to Left My Heart in Havana by China Glaze, which, as you can see, is red toned and therefore nothing alike. This is just the only other medium tone purple that I have in my collection. Now for Slater, I immediately thought of Zoya Ellis from this past spring collection and OPI's Madam President, which you can see is actually a little darker and more berry toned, but Ellis I thought was more similar since it was also described as a cerise cream. And they might look similar in the bottle, but on the nails, these are so different. So no dupes here, but I am curious to hear which one of these is your favorite. For Lisa, I immediately thought of Exercise Your Brights from OPI's latest Power of Hue collection. I think the bases are super similar and they do have a shimmer, but it's not exactly the same. I also remembered I had this shade called Thanks a Melon from Different Dimension, which I'm not sure is available anymore, but this one has a more similar blue shimmer. On the nail though, it is a touch darker, so I wouldn't call any of these dupes either. And lastly, for Bondi Blue, I immediately thought of OPI's Ready, Fete, Go, which I think came out last winter or the winter before, but these were the second closest to being dupes. I think you can tell the OPI has a bit more of a hollow flash to it, but other than that, they're pretty indistinguishable. So if you already have the OPI, I don't think you really need the Olive Ave, but if you don't have either of these, it just depends on if you want to see some hollow or not. But as always, I would love to hear what you think of this collection. And I'm super excited to also share that I'm now an affiliate with Olive Ave, so I have a discount code in my description box if you're interested in picking any of these up. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.